Okay, so how much sobriety do you need before you start dating? I get this question a lot.
But first, here are two disclaimers that were forgotten to be made by yours truly. And in an effort to seem professional while preserving continuity of the video, I got this fancy AI voiceover to make this transition. First,
This video is for people who have already decided that a prerequisite to them being emotionally healthy is for them to be sober from a specific substance or behavior.
and second,
This video really is centered and focused towards people who are in the Orthodox Jewish community, which means that when the word dating is said, it means that we're dating for the sake of marriage. So there are principles that are underlying this that can apply to anyone who's a young person in recovery or
okay, that's good enough for now. Back to the video.
There's a lot of young people in recovery these days, which is a phenomenal thing. If you look back to the early AAs trying to figure out, will this program of recovery work for someone who's a high bottom? I think we've come so far in terms of people having access to tools and ideas and people who can help them understand themselves on a very deep level. As a consequence of that, people are quicker to understand themselves and seek help faster and heal faster ultimately. So I think it's important to acknowledge that. When people are new to recovery, one of the best ways for them to measure success is with how many days or how many hours they have away from a specific substance or behavior. Because how else would you quantify success? As people shift into a more sober lifestyle, they understand that the prerequisite to their health and their emotional health is sobriety. But that's only the beginning. That's the green light to say, okay, let's start working on ourselves because I'm no longer going to be numb from all the underlying causes and conditions. So if you can say that you've stayed away from your drug of choice for 6 months, then that means that you've stayed away from your substance for 6 months. That doesn't mean that you're emotionally healthy. I heard a really good saying recently that being in recovery is like saying you're in America. America is a pretty big place. Where are you in recovery? And I think that's a really important question to consider before you even think about, how many days or months or years you have away from a specific substance or behavior. Just, quickly think to yourself about the people you know or you've met in recovery over the past couple of years or months. I'm sure you've met people with a very impressive number under their belt in terms of how much sobriety they have, but you wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with them. You wouldn't want those people in your daily lives. I think a very helpful question might be to think, based on the lifestyle I'm living right now, is this something someone would be really comfortable, being invited to? If the answer is no, you might have more work to do before you consider dating. A lot of times when I'm talking to people about this issue, what sometimes comes up is that they've spent a long time trying to do catch up. Being someone in recovery and being someone who's an Orthodox Jew sometimes feels like it's at odds. So to them, the meaning behind the question of am I ready to start dating is, am I okay with the way I am, or am I not okay? And is there more work to be done? And I think that the answer is always going to be, there is of course always more to be done. But do you really know what you want out of a marriage? Is who you are today the person who can grow with a marriage in your life? Within the Orthodox Jewish world, if you're ready to start dating, that might be the equivalent to saying, I'm an okay person in society. And for people in recovery, sometimes it's important to know that maybe right now I'm a great person in society who's not ready to start dating. Being able to tell someone who's egging you on about, hello, it's time to start dating, or I have a really nice girl, I think it's important to understand that, like, maybe now is not the time, and that's perhaps okay. Another issue that comes up in a similar vein is that because it's such a whirlwind about if I'm ready to start dating, that equals me being an okay person in my environment, is that what is marriage? We get so wrapped up sometimes about the beauty of marriage and how much of a value it is to us that sometimes you forget to think about the actual value and the actual beauty. And it could be you don't really know what you want. Sometimes it'll come up where someone says that, a shadchan or a rabbi, someone said that they have a really good girl for them and they need to start dating. And I think an important reflection might be, are you ready to start dating, or are you ready to start dating this girl? If you're ready to start dating, then that's great. Then perhaps this girl may be the right girl for you. But if you're not ready to start dating, then no girl is ready for you. If you rush the dating process, then you're rushing your marriage. Rushed marriages sometimes end well. I'm not going to say that, it's impossible, but you would rather deal with that before the wedding than after the wedding. So ultimately, obviously, I can't give you the answer of are you ready to start dating or not. You're going to have to do that alone. And if you do go based on someone else's decision, someone telling you that you are ready to start dating, then ultimately you're going to be the one who's going to have to deal with the consequences if you really were not ready. An asterisk to this conversation is needed. There are people who do really just need a small kick and a shove into the dating pool, especially people who've just been really comfortable and doing really well, either in yeshiva or a job they have, and they're just, the fear of rejection and the fear of dealing with the ups and downs of dating, which can be very difficult, are just holding them back. But I do think for someone who's in recovery and knows that they have to be, for them, their support system, and everyone around them should be jointly kicking them in the pants and saying, you're ready to start dating. And then ultimately, there's going to be a decision that has to be made on behalf of yourself. As a lot of people in recovery say, to your own self be true. It's apparently a Shakespeare quote. I am not as well read as I should be, so I don't know if it actually is.